if I could start the way it started all is basically just asking what drew you to the project, and the second part of that is what you feel the true power of this project, this show is.
I think they're kind of one and the same, actually, the answers. But so many different things. Philip K. Dick, for one, obviously, I'm fascinated by how incredibly productive he was as a writer. It blows my mind how many books he's been writing. For one, the world is fascinating. I feel like we as human beings live in a world where we constantly say, what if? What if I hadn't met so-and-so? What if I hadn't left my house at 3 p.m.? What if I hadn't, what if? So the prospects of that, the gift of being able to completely immerse yourself in a world that is boundless as far as what could have been, and yet within the confines of the book, was fascinating to me, just fascinating to me. And I fell in love with the character. That was, it's story first for me. I kind of grabbed hold of the story, and then the character just slayed me, and that was it. I was sold.
Now, something that I really enjoy about your character is that initially she isn't wanting to be a part of this. It's her sister, and she gets kind of pulled into it and makes that decision that she's going to do this and take care of what her sister was trying to do. And I've read the book, and I know that your character has a very different, tends to go in some darker areas, but I know that they're going to be changing things. Can you tell us a little bit about her arc without giving away too much?
We're exploring all of it as we go, and I know that Frank is incredible, being that it's serialized the way that it is. He's been amazing at just taking little tiny pieces, and so at this point in the story, we've kind of pulled one thread, and it's starting to unravel. So we're starting to get deeper and deeper into the book and into the tapestry of the novel. But she has many layers. She, I think, at face value, is partly innocent, partly vulnerable, scared, all those things. She's also very strong, which we hear all the time. Female characters are strong. This is, thank goodness. But we're also women. We're also human beings, and so within that strength comes every facet of what it's like to be human. So she has many, many colors, and they're all sort of coming to the surface as we go.
She makes a really rash decision from going from the place where she's not really involved and she's just living her life to she sees this horrible thing happen to her sister and has the film, and she just goes. She leaves behind her boyfriend, she leaves behind her family. What is it about her that made her make that kind of decision?
I think it's a lot of things. I think there's a level of shock. I think there's a level of when you live a marginalized existence and you live within sort of a matchbox society where you are meant to conform and to do as you're told and to go step by step one foot before the other. I think she's somebody who always sensed that there was more, or hoped that there was more. But at the core of it, I think seeing this thing happen to her sister and seeing what's really going on in the world, I think you live a sort of sheltered existence in those types of environments. I think it was a reaction. It's a reaction, I think, mainly, and it's a coping mechanism. I think we all deal with loss in different ways, with grief in different ways, and I think she chose to run with it. I think that's how she chose to go.
If science fiction is a prison in which we view ourselves, how is this show viewing us? What is this show, do you feel, saying about us?
Oh my goodness. I mean, look, of course, fascism, oppression, all of these things exist in today's world, as they did when the book was written, as they have as far as history can, right? And I think we're trying to explore what that means, not just in terms of the physical intention, what it's like to physically be in that world, but emotionally, spiritually, what that means for our relationships and how we live, how we love, how we fear. All those base human instincts and emotions, I think, are tempered by our environment. And so for me, this is a very relevant thing because all these things are happening.
Can you tell us a little about the setting for your character? Which area of the country does she live in, and what is it like to live there? Like, what are the everyday trials for your character?
She lives in Imperial Japanese occupied West Coast, California, San Francisco specifically. She is expected to conform, expected to live in a very specific way. Yet she's fascinated by Japanese culture, which is, in her world, a very unacceptable and treacherous thing, just say generally. And she's intrigued. I think she should be, and she understands things that she's not supposed to understand. And it drives her in a way that I think it also shouldn't do. She's, her mother, for example, is not thrilled with her interest in the Japanese culture. So, we have coping mechanisms, and I think she has many to live in.
What's it like to play a character that lives in a world that's so similar but so different at the same time? Like, do you have to get into a special mindset to play such a role, or especially a character that goes against the grain even in that world?
Yeah, I mean, the mindset for me with her is so all-consuming, dangerously so, in a sense that for all of us, were so immersed in the role and so completely connected to what we were doing, that time would just disappear. So in terms of finding a way into that, it was oddly very, very easy in some ways, because the world is the world, right? And that the scope of the world is so broad and so powerful that it gives you what you need to travel through that space. And that's Philip K. Dick, and that's Frank, and that's the gift of this story.
Now, you've done sci-fi before.
Yes.
You were Kira, which I love.
Yes, it was.
And she was very physical, very in your face. A lot of what she did was posturing, and she had to have that physicality.
Yeah.
And your character in High Castle also has that physicality. We know that from what she does with the martial arts and her work with that, but she tends to hide that. Was that harder for you, or did you enjoy kind of hiding that physicality and bringing it out?
I enjoyed that very much, yeah. There's a certain grace and elegance to the Japanese in terms of the way they move, and there's the bow, and everything's very quite beautiful in the way they move. So she has that, having grown up there and having, that's really all she knows, is what it's like to be a woman in that world. So there's that element of her and how she deals with people, and yet there's that inside of her that is, capable of Aikido and capable of the things she's capable of. So the dichotomy and the duality was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Was it fun training for that? Did you learn? Yeah.
It was amazing. It's a moving meditation. Aikido is fascinating to me. I had no idea. Going into it, I did karate as a kid. I did Krav Maga. I've done martial arts to a degree, but it's very much a dance. It's very fluid. It's very round. And oddly is a meditation. I don't know how else to describe it.
Does that meditation play into the character as you show those What she
A little bit.
Yeah. Is there any moment in the first couple episodes that really stand out for you? Like it sort of being really, like what I was saying earlier is chilling to me is when the cop helps Joe change his tire, and he's offering sandwiches, being very nice, and very casually mentions that the week that people holding back society is the day we burn them at the hospital.
Right.
It just for some reason that moment stunned me. I just wondered if there's something that really got to you.
There's so much of it, really, and I think that's Frank's really gifted at bringing in those little pieces of it. And so much so that we almost take them for granted. They almost become. So hearing that again, it's like, yes, of course, that is an incredibly jarring moment. But it's bizarre how almost, I don't want to say numb, that's a difficult description to use, but there's something sort of, you accept what is within the confines of that world when you're living in that space for 6 months. Yeah, you kind of just, you see the Nazi emblem, you see these things and you don't question it, which is, right? So it's full of those things, and when I step back, only now that I've had a look, we just finished filming the first season, so now I've started to really think about those things.
Times Square with the swastika and the Coca-Cola sign.
Right, incredible, right? Yeah.
Shows like this, obviously, when they're dropped all in one go, benefit a lot. Shows like this, obviously, when they're dropped all in one go, people love to binge watch them.
Yeah.
But this feels like it's just going to be too heavy, and it feels like you need to kind of separate yourself a little bit from it. Do you think somebody can sit and watch every episode back to back, or is it going to need some?
I do. I mean, the way that Frank has created, those little pieces at the end of episodes where you can't help yourself. It's like, wait a minute, I've got to know what happens next. We have them, even though it's so heavy and even though it's so emotional and all those things. But there's a tempered quality to the piece. So I think in some ways it's not over the top. I don't think it'll drain you on that level. I think it's more intriguing than it is, draining.
Yeah, that turn at the end of the pilot with Joe, like, I was so mad that I didn't have another episode to watch because I was like, I have to wait and hope that it gets, renewed. And how was that for you, that wait of waiting to find out if you guys are going to actually get greenlit?
You're used to the wait as an actor. You do a pilot and you kind of just, in a way you have to kind of forget about it. In this particular case, being that we're living in a world now where the people we're making this show for actually get to participate in whether or not we make the show. It makes sense, it's kind of beautiful. People can say, yeah, I want to see more of that, or I didn't like that part, or that's, we're making it for people to see, so that they get to participate in that. The waiting felt different. It kind of felt like, we were allowing time for people to participate in a way that felt nice.